If you're looking to grow your savings, we've got some tips for you.
This episode of the Dollar Saving Divas podcast is brought to you by RentTheRunway.com.
You'll find more than 200,000 pieces and 400 designers in the Rent the Runway closet. For any event you might be attending, formal, cocktail, or festive, you can get 4 or 8 day designer rentals for a fraction of the price. Anything you want, one flat price.
And when you click the link on our Dollar Saving Divas Facebook page, you'll save even more and help keep this podcast free.
Look great and save money too at renttherunway.com. Kelly, did you know that nearly half of American adults say they can't cover a $400 emergency expense?
I would be scared of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that really scary.
So we've got some tips to help you grow your savings because you should always be able to cover an emergency expense. One of the tips that I read was to name your savings accounts. Now, don't name them like George or Bob or Fred, but to actually name them for what you're saving for. So if you give it a name like tuition or you name your account new home, you'll save more than if you just had a catch-all savings account.
Can I name mine new car, new clothes?
New car, vacation.
New jewelry.
Exactly, whatever.
Okay, I'll go with that. But I think I probably have to keep
name mine Bob.
Yeah. Oh, but you know,
I'm saving for Bob.
I was
you don't
saving
know.
for Bob. That's it. Yeah. Okay, Bob on vacation. Oh, I can't believe we said that. And another tip is put money aside that you won't miss, which is kind of what I do, but a little bit different. So, you know, you have your money set aside for all your bills and you have little extra things you put in your savings account. But what we actually do is we have a couple of different things. One, something has come directly out of our checking account. And we've already got the money in there, so it's not like we're extra buying anything. But the other thing is we use a credit card, and we use a particular credit card that we can get a lot of bonus points with toward vacations or airfare or whatever. But we put on the standard bills that are all the same every month. So it's like your cable bill, your Verizon bill, all those kind of things. So once a month, you can very easily check them, and you also know what your ongoing expenses are, but you're also getting a benefit of on one credit card and getting points, but then you can go online and you can just pay for that credit card and it comes right out of your checking account as well. So that's one of the things that we do. Another thing you can do is, you know how we all belong to a lot of those reward programs of all different kinds. Well, even if a company doesn't have a reward program, they say actually ask customer service because a lot of times they'll give you some type of a courtesy discount or free shipping. Now, the free shipping I have heard of a lot. Like they'll say, you need to spend $75. Well, if I'm calling customer service, I'll say, you know, I'm only at $58. And all of a sudden, they'll say, no problem. They look up your buying history and boom, all of a sudden they give you free checking. Also, you can look online. Like we ordered from Vistaprint the other day for some things, and we found numerous ways that they were doing online couponing that could be 20% off. Well, then they had somebody else had a 10% for them, and then they had $9.99. So look at all those because you can really get a good savings out of some of those things as well. Yeah. So I like those loyalty programs.
Yeah, I do too. Other thing, you need to remember to shop around. You know, sometimes we get that insurance policy or, you know, our cable provider, and, we've had the same thing for years and you never shop around. But once or twice a year, you should shop the prices and see if it makes if it's worth switching. It's always good to check.
I think so too. Well, some other things. There's some money rules to live by forever, and there's a chief financial whiz. Her name is Jean Schatzky, and she has several books out. But she said there's just several ways that things you need to think about when you're rules to live by is control the things you can control. Like, you really can't control how much money you make unless you change jobs and go to look for that. But you can try to control what you save and what you spend. So you can kind of focus on that if of saying, okay, I'm going to set this much aside that I know I'm going to save out of my paycheck every month. And then this is how much I'm going to use for entertainment or put aside money for vacation. Like we were talking about, I think it's always important to just you plan for a vacation and set that money aside. Then all of a sudden having sticker shock of the charges when you get back from that vacation. You went, oh, I didn't really think I was going to have to pay $1,500 for something like that.
Yeah. And this is an interesting tip, which was declare some financial independence. And basically what she's saying is just because you're married doesn't mean you have to have joint every account. You need your own account, have your own checking account or have your own savings account. So you can have money of your own. And, I always like to for Christmas presents. I don't want to spend out of a joint checking account because I want things to be a surprise. So I've always had my own. We have separate checking. We have some accounts that are joint, but then some of them are
I
separate.
totally agree with on that, because then it's like, oh, I just gave myself a present. I don't want to know what it is. When you see that, because we know we'd all look at the credit
So
card
I like
statement.
keeping my own little
Stash. It's a stash.
Exactly.
Come on. It's a stash.
Yeah.
We'll call it a legitimate account, but no, it's a stash. Well, this is one that I think I haven't had to utilize, but I think it's really important, is your retirement trumps their tuition. I mean, we know what the cost of tuition is, send a kid to college these days. It's like it's like $250,000. That's a lot of money. Well, kids can get financial assistance, and probably they need some buy-in to have some responsibility for their education and some roles with that. So remember, they can get financial aid, but as we retire, we can get financial aid. So
exactly.
in some instances, you need to, and we can't provide for them in our later years. So if we build our nest egg up and we are taking care of ourselves, short term and long term, then we can provide for them long term down the road too. So that's something I think people need to think about as well.
Yeah, and don't feel guilty about it.
No, I don't think so.
Every kid's got student loans if that's what has to happen.
Exactly. And, I worked my way through college, so
Yep.
didn't work hard, but I worked my way through college.
Well, money stress is a huge issue in a lot of relationships. I mean, I think that's the thing that puts more stress on a relationship than anything else. So her advice is just to acknowledge the money stress. Don't ignore it. I think a lot of us, we have all of that financial pressure, but we don't talk about it and we don't deal with it. But she's saying you need to confront those issues and really look at what's giving you the financial stress. Because how else are you going to start making changes? I mean, if you've got a lot of debt, you need to really face that and, put a plan together to get yourself out of it.
We don't have any problem in that area with you and I, as our relationship has developed over the years.
Our relationship is built on money.
Yeah, exactly. We're spending it wisely.
Exactly.
That's why we're the dollar saving divas. We know how to spend it wisely. We just make it go further so we get more stuff.
Exactly. That's right.
That really is. It really is what we do.
No stress there.
Well, another thing, and I always find this to be, young people don't realize it. They say, "Oh, I make $75,000 a year." Well, that's what your salary is, but that's not really what your spendable income is.
That's not what you're bringing home.
Yeah, and they look at that. They looked at that. Their paycheck, and they go, "Oh my God,
where'd all my money go?"
I go, it went to Uncle Sam, is where it went, and then to the state Sam and the city Sam, and your medical thing. So you have to really look at the net. So it's after your taxes and everything else, and that's really what you have to spend. So, and then from that, you have to look at put a budget together, particularly if you're young people. Here's what my apartment costs, and here's or do I want to eat out, and put yourself on a budget for that as well, because you need to be able to save money, but you want to be able to also enjoy some things. And like we usually do, we just do happy hours instead of full dinners.
Right. Which is another thing that she says is just tweak your spending habits. You don't have to break it. You don't have to give something up completely. But if you have an expensive habit, replace it with something not so expensive. So if you are spending a lot of money on an expensive gym and you can't afford that anymore, then just go buy some running shoes and go out and take a run instead. So replace it with something a little less expensive.
I think these are all great tips, and I think
so too.
We can save a lot of money. Well, actually, I think we followed a lot of these. We do save some money, so hopefully some of our listeners will save some money too.
Yep.
This episode of the Dollar Saving Divas podcast is brought to you by RentTheRunway.com.
You'll find more than 200,000 pieces and 400 designers in the Rent the Runway closet. For any event you might be attending, formal, cocktail, or festive, you can get 4 or 8 day designer rentals for a fraction of the price. Anything you want, one flat price.
And when you click the link on our Dollar Saving Divas Facebook page, you'll save even more and help keep this podcast free.
Look great and save money too at renttherunway.com.
Thanks for listening to the Dollar Saving Divas. If you have ideas for an upcoming episode, we would love to hear from you. Just head to our Facebook page at facebook.com/DollarSavingDivas and share your comments. Our podcast is available on iTunes, iHeartMedia, or your favorite podcast player. Thanks again for listening.
Circle270media.com